Hi YouTube, Mr. Dodo8449 here. Today I'm doing a little update on my Engage exhibition layout. I've done absolutely loads of work and I think I'm going to do do a little update video on it, as well as I'm going to do the first running. It's all working perfectly. I'll go through more of that in a minute. And yeah, so I'm really happy with the way it worked. So anyone who's watched my tutorial on paper mashing hills, you would have seen some of the updates already, so I am going to go over them again, and I'll do those first, so apologies for anyone who's already sort of picked up on stuff I've done. So then, now, what have I done? Well, I'll start off at the end. I've added the folding boards. As you can see, there's one of them, exactly the same on the other side, and what you can see here, or just about see, is that this board here is about 3mm lower than this board here, the main board. Now the reason for that is what you can see in the background. That is a 3mm piece of paper board or paper wood, I don't even know what you want to call it. And I'm going to cut that into strips. I've got longer pieces upstairs. I'm going to cut that into strips. I'm going to mount the track directly onto it. And then that means that the track, I'll be able to move the whole track around, because it is flexi track, what you can see just about running along there. And then what I'm going to do is create like 3 or 4 of them, and then I will be able to sort of switch locos over without having to actually take them off the track. I can leave a loco running, then do a little bit of work on the train, and then, you know, just take off that one piece of track and put another piece of track on its place. But I'll explain more about that when I actually start doing it. So it's exactly the same on the other side. There's 2 hinges. It hinges away right underneath, which means for transporting it, it is only 1 meter by 30 centimeters by about 30 centimeters high, so it will fit in the back of almost any car, which is absolutely brilliant. The next most obvious thing is the back scene. That is in. It's attached. It's nice and rigid. I'm planning on putting a top on it at some point, but not until I've done basically all the scenery, because it'll get in the way otherwise. And what I can see, you can just see one there. That's what I'm using, basically just square blocks of wood to support all the corners. Now you will have noticed that one's up high. That will be painted either black or blue to match in with the back scene. The back scene isn't painted. That's from my old layout, so there's no paint done on it yet. Excuse me. But those blocks there will be coloured the same colour as the sky, and then they also work as a mount if I stick a roof on it, because that would be a place where I can actually screw down into, and it will make the roof a lot stronger. That's the reason it's there. But the ones down the corner at the front, these 2 here, one at the front, one at the back, they're a little bit more tricky to disguise. The ones at the other end have got the hill, which I'll come to in a minute. So what I'm planning on doing with these is, as you can see in the front here, I've added a little bit of scenery, and I'm going to mould it into it, so I can hide that one pretty easily. The one at the back is going to be a nightmare to hide. I was thinking of putting a building there, but being engaged, that would look really weird. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, so it might for the moment just be painted the same colour as the back scene, but I'm not too sure what the back scene is going to be at the moment. I might go out and buy, say, Pico back scenes and stick them on, or I might go and take a photo and make my own, or draw or paint my own on. So I have to see how it goes, but I want something a lot more detailed than what you can see at the moment, than just green hills and blue sky. So this is the next area we're going to look at. This is my hill that I've been building with the little tunnel entrance in the middle there. Now you may remember it from my paper mache video, and since then I have actually, I'll cover what I did first of all in that video for anyone who hasn't seen it. I first of all, as you saw in the previous update, had square blocks of polystyrene, stuck them together with just normal wood PVA glue, let that dry nice and solid. I then picked up a knife and I shaped it roughly. Then I picked up sandpaper and started to smooth off all the edges. I got loads of nice shape in there. Then we came on to the paper mache video, which is obviously paper mache on the top. I then sprayed it with this stuff, Army Issue spray paint. It's not Army Issue, it's just a name, but it cost me 99p, and I bought it because it was mud brown, and it gives a really nice dark colour, and you can just see it over this side here, and it is a really nice rich brown colour, and it does look really effective, which means when I put the grass on the top, I could leave it be a little bit, well, not quite as thick in some places, so the mud showed through and it looked a lot better. Now this is just the base layer of grass. It's looking far too short and maintained at the moment, so I'm trying to get some 6mm grass that will look a lot more wild, and especially as I get towards the back side of the scene over there, It's going to be a lot longer grass. I'm going to stick a lot of trees and stuff in there. I think that would look really good. So as you can see, it's just 3-4 mil static grass, summer green colour. I've gone over all of it. I've tried to keep a feature of my control system here, so that there is obviously no static grass on it at all. I'm kind of going to leave these two low bits just as it is, with very little static grass on there, very little scenery and stuff. If I finish it and decide to change my mind, I might put a few bushes either side of it, little things like that. That's sort of what I'm thinking. So I'll just give you a couple of views and then I will move on. So hopefully those photos gave you a bit more of an idea of what the scenery looks like. So we're now going to move on to the actual track. Now this is obviously the most important bit. It's got to work, and I'm quite happy to say it does work. It works really well as well. I've got no dead points. I did in the end solder all of the fish plates up, so every single fish plate has got some solder on it to help it to obviously conduct electricity better, so there's no relying on just fish plates to transfer the electricity. As well as that, I did drop links everywhere, so I'm going to point them all out to you because I've got loads. One here, I got one on this track, one on this track, one on this track, one on this track, spin round, one on this track and one on this track. Now the reason I haven't got one here is because I've got power on this particular rail and on this rail, and obviously it doesn't matter which way the point sits with that sort of connection, because they will both come round without having to go over the points on the point blades. So this bit here is also live all the time because it's soldered again. So that's what I've been doing with the track, and it does run perfectly. There's actually no dead spots. At the moment the whole thing is live like DCC, but I've wired it at the moment in such a way that I can just unsolder the connections and put in my isolating switches around the back. I just haven't got that far yet. So that is something which I will be doing at a later stage. So as you may have guessed, that means I went and bought myself a new soldering iron. I'm very happy with it on the one. It only cost me about £6, but it's nice, it's clean, it's got a really nice pointed tip, which makes it a lot easier to work on a smaller end gauge like this. So next thing I've done is a little bit less obvious when you're at this height. I'm going to change the camera in a minute and you should be able to see it. So this is the next thing I've done. This is a standard brought rail, and these are my rails. As you can see, there is a massive colour difference between the two of them. I've gone around all of the track, and I've painted it with my Rust Woodland Scenics pen, and I really would recommend buying that. It works so well, it looks really good. I've done a little review on that, and you can actually see me doing some work on it, so I'll upload that at some point. But yeah, it works really well, and the track looks so much better with the rust colour rather than really nice and shiny. I've got to do 2 more areas. I hadn't put the ballast in, so I didn't want to do it before I'd done all the soldering and all the ballasting. Then I put it in afterwards. I do it that way. I don't really know why I do it that way around. I don't really think it matters, but that's just what I do. So that's the next thing I was doing was yeah, just adding a little bit more detail by adding a rust covering to all of the track. So I will. Well, there's no point me taking the camera shots because the light doesn't pick it up very well. But if I give you a comparison piece of track at the back there, you can see the track I'm using is a lot duller in colour. It looks a lot better, and yeah, so I really recommend doing that with all your tracks. So another thing I've been doing, and this one here really isn't obvious, is whether I've used FlexiTrack for quite a lot of this, which means you have to remove sleepers from either end and then stick it together. And whenever you join onto pieces of track with FlexiTrack, there's obviously a gap between the sleepers. So wherever there was a gap, I've had to fill it in with old sleepers. So I've been cutting sleepers out and sliding them in, putting the ballast around it, and then gluing it down, and the ballast holds it all in place. So for instance, there's 2 just here. Those 2 there at the end of my finger are not attached to the track at all. I've stuck those ones in, and I've done that in quite a few places all over the track. So as you can see now, the sleepers look continuous. There's no gaps in the track. There's only 1 broken sleeper there, but I didn't notice that, to be honest, until I'd done the ballasting, so I thought I'd leave it anyway. It looks like the ballast is just a bit thicker there, so it really doesn't bother me too much. So that's just a little thing which I've been doing, and you would never notice it unless I pointed it out to you. But it's just the little detail you've really got to do on an exhibition style layout to make it look a lot more realistic. Is obviously filling in the sleepers and painting the rails. They're just two things that no one really notices to start with. When people start looking into the layout a bit more, they'll suddenly pick up, oh, he's done that, and so on. That's really good. So the final thing is right in front of the camera now. Obviously I've been doing some ballasting. Now I've ballasted as much as I can without building the station. Now I know I said on my 00 gauge layout that you should do the scenery then add the ballast. But for this layout it's a slightly different look I'm going for. So I decided to put the ballast in first, then the scenery. And the reason for that is on my 00 gauge layout I wanted to look a slightly newer track. So the ballast will be placed on top of the grass. The grass has an opportunity to grow around it, whereas with this one here I wanted to give a slightly older look, so the grass would have grown over the ballast, and the best way to get that effect is to put the ballast down first and the grass on top of it. Now this particular area you can see here is going to be more like a goods yard with cars in it and so on, rather than grassy fields. Most of the grass is what is already there, is already done, that I showed you earlier on in the video. So spin the camera around and you can see the ballasting. It runs all the way from there. I've left all this area here completely clear. This is where the station's going to sit. It runs all the way down and all the way around. At the moment it looks a little bit strange because there's no scenery or anything, so it just stops and there's a bright yellow wood in there. So when I add scenery that will all cover up and it will look a lot better. And then in between the two tracks here I've added just a little bit of scenery, just to give it another little depth all the way along here. Different colours, mostly greens, with a few oranges and yellows in there, and I think that looks really good. It just adds another little dimension to the way the layout looks. So that is everything I've been doing. I've got quite a bit more to get on with, obviously. My next project is hopefully I'm going to start building my station. Once the station is in I can finish off ballasting, but before I do that I need to finish off that back scene you can see at the moment. Sorry, not back scene, the back hill. I'm planning on building like a little retaining wall here up to about where the static grass starts. Then I'm also planning on adding a couple more layers, making it a bit thicker, then adding maybe a few wildflowers in there and then the odd tree. Not too many trees, I'm mainly thinking 2 along the back only, about there and there, just on the hill. If I tilt the camera up you can see where I was pointing then. About here and here. On the hill, and maybe one more down this end, around there somewhere. But we'll have to see how that looks. That's the plan I'm going for. So once the retaining wall is in and the scenery is done, I'm going to start working on the platform. Now that is going to be interesting because I'm trying to find the best way of making my design. I'm sure I'll find some way though quite easily. So what I'm actually going to do now is finish this update, and I'm going to make a separate video of me running Locos, so that's something to look forward to. That will come out in the next day or so. I've got quite a few videos on sort of ready to go out and so on, so I'll hopefully get those up and going soon. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments or anything you want to say about the layout, then please don't hesitate to ask. Leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And then look out for my running video. If you want to, and you know already, then hit that subscribe button, and then that video will appear on your YouTube page, so you'll be able to follow me really easily that way. And I believe that is everything. So thanks for watching.